Father's Day is coming up. That was made for my father 2 years ago, so it was a time when he really needed just a huge community, a lot of love sent his way. So thank you everyone who's a part of that. And there's actually more to that video too. It's online if you wish to see it. Yeah. In this past week, my friend gave me a book that provided some thoughts on how to write an obituary. Some of the advice was just to listen to the stories of my dad's friends and family, and just be prepared to realize how much I don't know about my dad's life. I've gotten the chance to do some of this listening, but I look forward to hearing even more from all of you. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for coming. But to start, some of the things I do know. As I stand here before many of you who are immigrants from China yourselves, the story of my father will sound very familiar. It's one of him making a home here in Iowa. Wang came to the U.S. in 1992 with $60 in his pocket. He went to fulfill a doctorate at Kansas State University in cereal chemistry. Once he got a job in a lab and found his own place to live, my mother flew over to join him. She worked as a dishwasher and took English classes with her friends. They went to a local buffet restaurant every Sunday when she was pregnant with me, so that she could fill up on food for the baby. My dad called this filling up on food investing in the baby fund. They eventually moved here to Iowa City, where they had my brother Mason. My parents have lived here ever since, with more and more of my family joining us, including my cousins who go to the University of Iowa and my aunt in Des Moines. Iowa was great for my dad because here, talking to strangers is an okay thing to do. He made friends wherever he went. He was kind and funny. But something happens when your parents come from a different country and you are born in the US. There are many bits of wisdom that don't translate well, and ideas about family, history, and culture that go unshared. When you grow up in the US like I did, I would watch movies and TV shows like Full House, Cheaper by the Dozen, or Home Alone, with families that didn't look like, act like, or think like mine. My dad and I did not have moments where he would sit me down, say, "I love you," and give me hugs when I was sad. And growing up with my dad, I found him a very difficult person to understand, because seeing the dads in these movies made me feel like I did not know how to interpret his care. And so we fought a lot. But he always did things that surprised me. One time, while touring colleges in the East Coast, we went down to New York City. The way he was fun and spontaneous was very unfamiliar to me. And we were having such a great time eating at amazing restaurants and meeting random people. And I got to know the person that all of his friends had told me he was. Once we got to the hotel room, we put down our stuff and decided to immediately go to Times Square to stare at the billboard lights, even though it was already 10:30 at night. I was so excited to be learning new things about my dad. As we were walking back to the hotel, I was crossing the street, but only looking up at the skyscrapers, and a bus almost hit me. My dad started yelling at me, loudly and angrily, in the busiest part of New York City. That behavior towards me and the feeling of embarrassment was very familiar. But this type of care, as my uncle tells me, is the kind of love that my grandfather taught my father. It was the type of caring driven in part by fear. The fear of not being able to protect and assure the safety and well-being of the people in his life. To confront this fear, my dad made himself into someone who was strong enough to be listened to. He wanted to make himself into a concrete figure, one that was constantly reliable and stable enough to be held onto tightly. He fought to be a stable resource for so many people, and was generous because he saw so many people in need. His love was a type that was unconditional and unrelenting, without concern about taking risks or being judged by others. My dad was diagnosed in 2016 with stage 4 cancer, and over the past 2 years, I've gained a better sense of his perspective of the world and learned to care for him in the way that he cared for me, and we grew closer and closer. Whenever he gave me advice, my dad had a saying, "Look for the forest, not at the trees." He felt that I too often got caught up and upset over little unimportant things. He always wanted me to remember the bigger picture, whether that was family, friends, or maybe even a dream job. He had forgotten that saying was something that I had said to myself after reading in a book. But I was just glad that I had said something to him that he could remember, something that made a lot of sense to him. For him, that forest was protecting my brother, my mother, and I. For him, to know the forest is to know where your heart lies and what will never fail to make your life meaningful, so long as you fought for and held on to that thing. We, my family, were the reason why he moved to the U.S. when he was 26 years old by himself, determined to build a beautiful and safe life for us. He loved us so, so much. He wanted to take care of us so badly. I hope he knows that we are so grateful, and because of him, we will go on, able to continue our lives with courage. My father was raised Buddhist, and in this belief, death is only an idea and an imagined ending, and that people are always living on and leaving bits of themselves everywhere. I will look for you, Dad, in the Iowa skies, in the face I see in the mirror, in the shade of the trees, in the grass lightly rising in the morning. Thank you for giving us so much. We know you are always with us. We hope you rest in peace.